Okay, so we're going to get started. It's just after 10:30. Welcome everybody to our final webinar of our free series, and this one is around Covey's circles, harnessing the power of this powerful coaching tool. Certainly has been for me. So in terms of the webinar ground rules, I think most people will be used to this by now, whether you've been on ours or other Zoom calls, but it's a 30-minute session, so it is short and sharp. The content will be led by myself, but there will be an opportunity to interact with polls and particularly chat as well. And it'd be really appreciative on a couple of the chats if you could add your thoughts, ideas, suggestions, etc. Microphone hopefully will be on mute. If it's not on mute, if you don't mind muting it, that would be superb. And you can either have your video on or off during this webinar. It's entirely up to you. There will be a recording available, like all the free webinars, which will be on our website probably at the beginning of next week. And as usual, there'll be an online feedback QR code for people to scan at the end of this webinar. And again, it would be great, particularly with this being the last one in our series, if people could give us some feedback and some ideas around what we might do in the future. Anybody who fancies collaborating with us on anything as well, please give me a shout. Okay, so we're going to crack on with the webinar now. Again, I've delved into my archive of photos. And this one is of me in action delivering, and we sometimes collaborate with a team of actors, which is really good actually, to do things like role playing. I think I was in action here trying to prove my acting ability. I'm not sure how the guy on the left-hand side is feeling about it, but I consider myself quite an animated presenter, that is for sure. So facilitator at ANDS Partnership, and been doing that for just over 2 years. So what are Covey's circles? I think before I go into that, I mean, they've been around a long time, 1989, when Stephen Covey wrote his book. But if we just do a quick poll about how much you know about them and are you using them? So poll will be up very, very shortly. If everybody could just answer the question to that. So how do you currently use the circles of influence? Okay, superb. Thanks very much. So as we can see there, hopefully everybody can see the results. So we've got a few people that have not actually heard of them. So hopefully this will be a great webinar for you guys. I've heard of them but don't consciously use them. And I think my sort of mission today is to help you think about using them consciously, and you will definitely get something out of them, whether it's from a self-coaching tool or using them to coach others as well. And then we've got a couple of people using them to self-coach and coach others, which is superb. And again, I'd welcome your contribution in the chat. Okay, so we'll continue now with the session. So Covey's circles actually came from his book 1989, as I said. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is one of the books that I think, the personal development books that have stood the test of time. It is a personal favourite of mine. And in there, it does what it says on the tin. He talks about 7 different habits that will really improve you as a person in terms of development. So these are the 7 habits. We certainly haven't got time to go through them all today. But habits 1, 2, and 3, they really help develop you personally. So what Covey describes it as is a move from dependence to independence. Habits 4, 5, and 6 then move you into that interdependence side of things. So it's more around relationships, teamwork, influencing people, etc. And then habit 7, which is entitled Sharpen the Saw, is all about developing. It's all about developing that. So really useful book. I recommend it if you've not read it, because it can be a useful guide. I'm going to focus on habit 1 today, because that's where the circles actually came from. So this is about being proactive. And as Covey would describe it, it's about taking responsibility for your life. And he talks about 2 different types of attitudes: somebody that's reactive and somebody that's proactive. And in terms of reactive people, words like blame and being a victim can come in. Proactive people, those with probably a growth mindset, I would suggest, are those that sort of control their own decisions. So they use phrases like "I can," "I will," "I prefer," etc., rather than "I can't," "I won't," etc. So the actual circles that I use come out of his book. I've adapted them slightly, like quite a few people have, but these are the circles that are in his book. So there are 2 circles. There's a circle of concern and the circle of influence. So if you were imagine everything that's going on in your world, whether it's at work or at home, you can jot all those down. You can brainstorm it all down on a sheet of paper, and they're all your concerns. Which of those concerns are those that you can influence? So which one can you be proactive about? Can you control? Can you influence? And which are just absolute givens? And if they are givens, are you actually wasting your energy actually thinking and worrying about those? So proactive, this is a quote from Covey's book actually: proactive people focus their efforts in the circle of influence. They work on the things they can do something about. The nature of their energy is positive, enlarging and magnifying, causing their circle of influence to increase. So you can see there actually on the diagram that if somebody is reactive, their actual circle of influence decreases, but a proactive person, they increase. And that's what I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about during this session. So this is the circle of influence, control, or concern that I've developed, and many other people have as well. It's certainly not mine alone. So it's actually put into 3 different circles. The circle of control being the middle one. That's everything that you have direct control over as an individual. Circle of influence, that yellow circle, that middle circle, is everything that you might not have direct control, but you have the ability to actually influence that and maybe bring it into your circle of control as well. And then the circle of concern, or givens, actually, as I like to call it, are just things that are there that we can't do anything about. So that might be things like policies or laws, or the environment, or whatever it might be something that's a given. The idea behind this is to focus your attention on the circle of control. That's the first thing, and also bring anything that you can influence into that circle of control as well. So how can this be used in coaching? I mean, this was something that I learned many years ago in probably my very first leadership program, and it's such a simple model. I think, you know, it's 3 circles, but it's had a huge impact on me over my career, and I particularly use it when I'm coaching people, and I do use it when I'm coaching myself as well. So how can you actually use it? Well, write down the things that you were concerned about, interested in, whatever it might be. And a lot of the time you might do this focusing on a work environment. So you can either put that on a scrap of paper, you can put it on a piece of flip chart paper, whatever it might be. Some people even put it each one onto a post-it note, which works quite well as well. So each of the issues, so they can be moved around. Now consider each item as to whether they're in your control, influence, or are simply just a given. And then mark each one with either the C for control, I for influence, or G for given. Or move your post-its around into whichever circle you've got. So that's in a way, the easy bit. The difficult bit is then working your way through each category. And I think, you know, what I really want to focus on, and we've not got loads of time today, is how do you actually increase your circle of control? How do you you increase your circle of influence. And what can you do about this givens thing that can cause people a lot of negativity and worry and concern, when actually there's not a lot you can do about it? So that's what I'm going to try and have a look at for the rest of the session. So I'm going to start with that outer circle, which is the givens, and just share a few ideas that I've got. So the first thing, and it's very easy for me to say, is forget about them. You know, they're outside of your control. You're wasting an awful lot of time and energy worrying about them. Could impact your mental and physical well-being. So forget about them. Prioritize them. So a lot of people will have used the Eisenhower matrix, the importance and urgency. Are they a priority really for you? If not, again, revert back to bullet one. Put them into perspective as well. So there might be a concern for you, but actually, you know, in the whole scheme of things, are they really that important, if you like? And think about their implications. So what is the impact of if I did ignore that, you know, that given, what's the implication of it? What's the impact of it? Then, of course, the other thing is try and move it into an influence or a given. So what can you do with that? It's really important to me. I have put it into perspective. I've thought about the implications. So how do I move it out of that outside circle and start moving it into the influence circle or the given circle? I want to move now in, and this for me is probably the most important circle of the lot in terms of influence, because actually once you if you want to control the control circle of influence, then you need to make that bigger, and by making that bigger, it's all about how you influence. So what I'd like to do, just as something a little bit different, I've got quite a few top tips to actually increase your influence circle. But it'd be great if we could just put a whiteboard, if people can just chat. What kind of things would you suggest that you can do to actually increase your circle of influence? So build big relationships. Brilliant. Absolutely fundamental. Got anything else coming through? Collaborate. Yeah, like it. Very good. We've got anything else coming through? I think for me as well, in terms of the building big relationships, I think that's about trust as well. So it's about building trust. Do they trust you? And do you trust them? And what can you do about that? Communicate your ideas. Great suggestion. So communication is so key here. Take responsibility. Be inclusive to other colleagues. Self-awareness as well, like that one as well. Superb. Listen. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else coming through? And be honest. Yeah, like it. Thank you very much. Be honest. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we'll shut down the whiteboard, and I will share my screen again. So these are some of the other items, some great tips actually from you guys there. So be proactive, be a good listener. Somebody's already say that. Stay consistent, and I think that's about building your personal brand, which I think is really key in this. Practice empathy, so I think that goes into the sort of listening side of things. Seek for solutions. Accept responsibility. I think appreciating others, and again that goes into empathy as well. Having a vision and sticking to that. And that's something that's really key for your overall well-being, is actually having something to aim for. The best leaders have got something going on. They've got something happening. They've got something in that future. So having a vision and working towards that can be really key. Asking the right questions to the right people, and I think that's around relationship building as well. So how do you make sure that you can be more influential, or actually you can control things better? Have passion and show that as well. Have you got a passion, a fire for what you do? Because actually people will turn to you much more if they see that you've got a passion for that subject. Filter the information that you take in. There's lots and lots of information going on at the moment, but in the usual world anyway, with social media, etc., filter that information. Increase your value through education. So I think that's really key as well. I think getting as much knowledge as you can do can then lead to much more opportunities. Fine tune any skills. Be upbeat and enthusiastic. Be a person of integrity and values, and I think that goes into the trust building side of things that we talked about earlier. And look to go above and beyond that sort of going the extra mile, and use your influence to bring out the best in others. So if you're using all these skills that we've put on there, numbers 1 to 16, you're probably going to have increased your circle of influence. But why not use that then to develop others to bring the best out of them? So the final one is your small circle in the middle. So for me, the big thing there is focus on ways to increase your influence circle, and your control circle will increase too. However, it's not going to be rocket science for anybody to know this, but the key is about building and maintaining the right relationships. That will increase the circle of control, certainly increase the circle of influence as well. And I think when I look at relationships, one of the models that we use in our leadership programs is called the relationship triangle. And this just, to me, just shows the correlation between results and relationships. So you see that triangle, and you'll see that we come to work, or most of us come to work, to get results. To get those results, we need actions. Going down the triangle, planning and priorities are needed for actions to take place. But actually before that, there needs to be possibilities and visioning. And before that can even take place, there needs to be relationships. And the idea behind this relationship triangle is that the bigger the size of your relationships, the bigger your results, and the smaller the size of your relationships, the smaller your results. So if I've just put the red box just against that, but you can see there on the triangle now, your relationships are a lot smaller, and therefore the results are a lot smaller as well. Just as an example, you take your laptop in to the IT department, if you like, and this is just an example of my experience, and the person that's on the help desk that might help you fix your laptop. When are you likely to get that done? Potentially you're likely to get it done a lot quicker than if you haven't got that relationships make the world go round. We know that, and they will also certainly help you enlarge your control and your influence circles. I also use the Covey circles of control influence with teams. So I've done that before, where teams have put on post-it notes their own things that are going on, or concerns that are happening in their worlds. And it can be a really useful team exercise then to start plotting them onto the circles on the flip chart, and working together, working through them as a team in terms of what you can control and what you can influence. But the biggest thing for me around the circles is using them as a coaching tool. Sit down with someone, especially somebody that's got a lot going on, that's got so much stuff, that feels really, really stressed. and just get them to write down everything that's going on, and just to sort of grade it in the as either a control, influence, and given, can be absolutely brilliant. Just doing that activity can be brilliant, and then working on the things. Okay, so what are the things that are in the control circle? Right, let's get on the phone or get an email sent out or whatever it might be. What are the things that you can influence? Okay, so who do you need to speak to do that? What action do you need to take place? And what about all these givens then? Okay, so they're obviously concerning you, they're worrying you. Right, what can we do? Can we park them up, or can we actually bring them into your circle of influence and then control? So really useful tool. I'd be very, very happy to speak to anybody outside of this webinar as well to give you any advice on how that might play out for you. So what I'd like to do, as this is the last webinar of the whole session, I'd like to get the flip chart, interactive flip chart back up, and I'd like you to think about and use on chat this question. And the questions around, okay, so this is our last webinar, but if you could have a webinar, you wanted to put on a webinar on one specific topic, what might that look like, especially in this current climate? So it'd be brilliant to get everybody's ideas on chat. Virtual collaboration, like it, good, excellent. Any other ideas? What else would you, virtual conflict and dealing with virtual conflict? Yeah, I think I've had some suggestions as well, which is very, very similar to that in terms of how do you performance manage, if you like, at this time, especially underperformance. What can you do from a remote virtual point of view when it comes to underperformance? Good suggestion here, maintaining motivation. How do you maintain people's motivation through this period, whether people are on furlough or whether people are actually at work as well, is a good one. Have we got any more for any more? Because this may well shape what we do next when it comes to any other webinars or development opportunities that we get. Regular virtual contacts. Okay, fantastic. One idea that we've got, and it'd be great to hear from anybody about how it might be working, is doing some kind of thought leadership type webinars where there's a lot more interaction with you guys. We can split people into breakout rooms and just discuss different topics that are pertinent to you. Managing self-motivation, somebody's put there. I think we've got yeah, so that's cropped up a couple of times, so that's a useful one. Discussion forums, yeah, like it. And then we've got mindset, measuring output, not input, and again that's linked to performance. Any more for any more before we finish off the session? Okay. Oh, virtual boundaries for leaders. And then links for support we've got as well. Great. Some great topics. Thanks guys for sharing that. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the webinar. We're at 10:55. So the final webinar of this session. As usual, I just wanted to share with you a few of the things that we've got going on. And one of the big things is we've got a Leading in a Changing World remote session. So again, some of your ideas on there will be covered in these sessions. They're 3-hour sessions. They're all online. Leading remote teams, leading in change, and leading health and well-being, which is obviously a key part of this, maintaining people's health and well-being, motivation, engagement, etc. through this. So we're offering that as a product to organisations. So please look us up, contact us if you want a little bit more, further information on that. We've also got the Mental Health Aware session, which is the accredited one by Mental Health First Aid England. I've got a date there. We've still got a few places left. Tuesday the 5th of May. It's 9 till 1. And you'll get a certificate, you'll get a handbook and a workbook out of that as well, with some really, really good contact details and signposting numbers. And we've put an extra free lunch and learn on just to talk a little bit more about Mental Health Aware. Again, if you've not booked onto this, it's free. It's for about 45 minutes. And we're doing that on the next week on the 29th of April at 1 o'clock. No obligations or anything like that, and really useful. We show a video, get people involved in the chat as well. So please book a place if you've not already, or pass it on if you think Mental Health Aware might be something that your organisation might benefit from. And the bonus is that we can do it virtually as well. So for now, this will be the last of the free webinar series. I'm sure we'll be promoting other things as well. So if you've not actually hooked up with us yet on LinkedIn, please connect with AM Partnership. That'd be superb. You can connect with myself as well if you want to. And we've got plenty of things on the website. We've got I've published a blog on what the world might look like a year down the line. So that might be a useful read for people. Even if it's not, it'd be great to get some comments on your views on the new normal. We will be publishing another blog from one of our directors, Dave, very, very shortly, probably early next week as well. And just during this period, it's a great opportunity to walk up for a bit of a virtual catch-up and a coffee. And we'd all be delighted to have a chat. So whether it be with me, or any of the other guys, please, well, your starting point is hello@ampartnership.com or the number. But yeah, we'd be delighted to really hear from you and hear about what you're going through in terms of your organisation and what you might need in the new normal. So I really hope that people have enjoyed this, the free webinar series. I know some people might have just attended this one. I know many people have attended quite a few of the sessions that we've put on. I've really enjoyed presenting. I know my fellow deliverers have as well. So this will be the last time that I'm asking for your feedback. So if you can open up your camera on your phone and scan the Whizzy QR code. Again, it might take a minute or so just to fill it in, but it's really beneficial for us. And that will be that, because we are fast approaching 11 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your day and the weekends ahead, whatever that might entail. Might be a bit of gardening out there. Great to see everybody, and hope to speak to you soon. Thank you.